Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Terima kasih diucapkan kepada semua hadirin yang hadir latihan pada hari ini. Okey, tanpa membuang masa, saya menjemput Dr. Azza Jauhar binti Ahmad Tajuddin, Timbalan Dekan, Bakat dan Pendidikan daripada Pusat Pendidikan Asas dan Lanjutan untuk memulakan latihan. Dipersilakan Doktor.
Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammad. Allahumma nafi'in. Ya Allah, okey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okey, terima kasih Adila ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Ramadan Mubarak untuk semua insya-Allah. So far kita ada 18 principles, so kita mula je insya-Allah ya. So we'll just go through and go with the flow. Sekiranya ada soalan, bakal ada soalan yang terbuku di hati, just keep enrolling, masukkan, insya-Allah saya akan sama-sama cubalah untuk menjawab insya-Allah. Okey. Jadi pada petang ini insya-Allah kita akan buat tajuk experiential learning. Experiential learning. Okey. Sesi ini ialah sesi interaktif, bukan saya seorang bercakap seorang-seorang, kerana ia akan menjadi satu sesi yang sangat mengantuk kalau saya cakap seorang-seorang. Okey, kita akan saya akan petik je nama ya. Saya tadi dah letak dah beberapa nama dalam wheel saya tu, wheel of fortune saya tu. Saya akan petik je nama. Okey, untuk experiential learning. Experiential. Apakah root word kepada experiential learning? Halimatus Sa'adiah, apakah root word kepada experiential? Oh, halaman soalan dah keluar tadi. Dia ada. Okey, Uzair, apakah root word kepada experiential? Good, experience. Well done. So, experiential learning is actually based on experience. Okay, whose experience? Is it the teacher's experience kita, ataupun experience pelajar? Agak-agaknya. Robiah Muhammad, whose experience are we going to talk about? You can type or you can say it. Experiential learning, pengalaman. Okay, thank you Ahmad Rizwan ya. Pengalaman siapa? Adakah pengalaman saya sebagai seorang pengajar ataupun pengalaman pelajar sebagai pelajar? Bagus. Okay, thank you Dr. Syahir. In this learning strategy, basically is going to be the lecturer giving the experience to the students. Okay, the experience should be theirs. The experience, all the learning should be their learning, and it should be their experience. Betul, ada yang mengatakan bahawa it should be from both parties. True. However, the teacher should have done it before. Ia tidak boleh eksperimental waktu ini kita jomlah try dengan budak ni jadi ke tak. It cannot be that way. You should have actually piloted in a small group first dengan kawan-kawan, dengan sama-sama group yang mengajar sesuatu kursus, ataupun kawan-kawannya lain mengajar kursus yang lebih kurang sama dalam satu bidang. Then you actually give it to the students. It cannot be you are trying with them at that point of time. However, in some circumstances, you are going to actually improve your teaching, improve your students' learning. But in this case, experiential learning is you are giving the experience to the students. Okay, that's the key. Okay, experience. Okay. So inshallah, the objectives of our session today will be two only. The first one, we are going to explore a few experiential learning activities. We are going to go through that together, and kita akan buat sama-sama insyaAllah. And the second one, apa yang kita akan buat ialah kita akan bina satu course assessment plan, CAP ataupun MyCA. MyCA ini sangat simple, yang menggunakan experiential learning ya. Pembelajaran menggunakan pengalaman. Okay. Alright. Sebelum tu, saya mohon semua untuk lihat ini, bezakan antara traditional learning. Contoh traditional learning macam kita adalah maths lecture, teacher-centered learning, that, and then experiential learning. whatever you think it is, kita cuba bezakan. Okay. The first one is teacher-centered focused. Sekiranya traditional learning, if the traditional learning activities are teacher-centered focused, what do you think? Okay, apa assumption semua tentang experiential learning? Okay, tak payah type dulu, tulis kat tepi dulu. Nanti saya akan cabut nama seorang-seorang. What is the difference? Traditional learning is teacher-centered. Experiential learning is what? Okay. The second one. Okay. The second one, traditional learning focuses on the learning outcomes and are prescribed to a fixed rubric or scoring system. Okay, traditional learning ni dah memang termaktub itu sahaja yang akan berlaku dan kita assume tak akan ada benda-benda lain akan berlaku. Tapi apakah agaknya yang berlaku pada experiential learning, semasa experiential learning berlaku? Okay, tolong catat catat kat tepi rasa-rasanya apa jawapannya. I just want to, okay, why do we do this? Okay, it's very important. Again, sometimes in your classroom, you have to explain to your students why you do some things, okay? I want to actually see whether the learners, in this case, all of us, all of you, ada tak yang ada pengalaman tentang benda ni? You want to see whether your students have the experience already ataupun memang gila noob memang baru sangat tak tahu benda. This is very important in your own classroom later to see whether your students have certain level of experiences or they have no experiences at all. Then you will know how to differentiate teaching. Kita tak akan ajar tinggi sangat sampai orang tak faham langsung apa-apa, dan kita tak akan ajar rendah sangat sampai budak yang dah faham boring. So it's quite important. Okay, and the third, I'm going to the third one. Traditional learning activities aim to explain knowledge and or skills by transferring information. Contohnya, kita explain je. Dalam kelas, mass lecture, okay lah. Student, hari ni apa kita buat ialah kita akan belajar tentang surah, tiba Quran bulan puasa. Kita akan tiba surah Al-Mu'minin ayat 28 hingga 42. Okay, baca. Saya baca dan baca tafsir. Said I'm transferring information. Okay. However, in experiential learning, what do you think will happen? Okay, catat dulu. Apa agaknya akan berlaku? Alright. Just brainstorm whatever you think happen. One, it doesn't matter if it's wrong. In my classroom, in our classroom today, it's okay if you don't actually get it right. And others don't laugh at people if they get it right, if they get it wrong. Because all of us are learning. Alright? Okay, statement tu tadi ialah statement yang penting ya untuk you all bercakap kepada anak murid atau kepada pelajar-pelajar, kerana environment Malaysia, in our Malaysian environment, sometimes our students are quite scared to speak up because they don't want to be wrong. Mereka tidak mahu salah. Kerana stigma orang Malaysia, sekiranya benda tu salah, nampak kita ni macam BODOH. Alright? But in this case, you have to set the classroom mood to say it's okay to be wrong. Because in doing so, you have to unlearn things and relearn things. Therefore, you need to actually speak that up. You tak boleh assume sahaja budak-budak akan faham. Okay lah, cikgu ni akan kasih buat salah. Tunjuk ada. Alright, tengah ada session. Okay, the fourth one is traditional learning activities are fixed structure, high degree of facilitation. High degree of facilitation means we facilitate a lot. Kita guide satu-satu. So what's the difference in experiential learning? Okay, dalam hal ni saya akan tanya ya. Saya ada 11 jenama tadi, mungkin ni dah ramai ya. So kita akan tanya. Jawapan tidak. Itu anda blunder, the blunders of having ni. Okay. Sorry. Tadi ada, saya ada ni je dulu. Saya akan go through this je dulu ya. Okay, let's see. We'll go to the first one. Okay, Siti Nabila. Siti Nabila, the first one is Nabila. You can switch on your mic or you can type. Okay, the first one is traditional learning activities will be teacher-centered, teacher-focused. What about experiential learning activities? What's the difference? What's the contrast? What do you think? Tadi lupa dah nama apa Siti Nabila. Yes, Siti Nabila. Siti Nabila ada lagi ke tak? Ada lagi. Okay. I'll wait for Siti Nabila, don't worry. Okay, Siti Nabila, fikir ya, dia punya answer ya. Okay, the second one, I better tulis. The first one is Siti Nabila. The second one, okay, when we do this, okay, I'm going to give, semasa saya buat pun saya akan share. I'm going to share why I do this, okay. When we are doing this, when we have, supposedly, if we have a normal classroom, kita akan ada class list siap-siapkan. So you just copy paste di dalam wheel tadi. Since I'm not sure who's in the class, I just entered the first few names who entered the class just now. While we are doing this, all of our students need to prepare for the answer. Okay, kita assume the first one ni lah, macam contohnya Siti Nabilah ni lah, jangan nama aku first kena panggil. Akan rasa ni sikit. Sebab dah terpaksa buat the first one. However, lepas ni, bila kita cakap, okay, everybody will be ready. Okay, everybody will be ready for their own answers. Whether it's right or wrong, it's okay. The same goes to all of you, the 32 of you. Okay. It's okay if the answer is wrong. If okay, it's merapu, no problem. Okay, it's all of us are learning. Okay, and I'm not gonna laugh. Inshallah. Okay. Okay, teacher-centered learning. Tadi Siti Nabila? Siti Nabila, where are you? Please Nabila pergi semayang. Okay, kita biarkan yang pertama ni kosong Siti Nabila. Okay. The second one, traditional learning activities focused on learning outcomes. The learning outcomes are prescribed to a fixed rubric. Apakah agaknya jawapan untuk experiential learning? Okay, kita putar dulu. Menangnya ialah Dr. Fadli Seman, okay? So what's the difference between traditional learning and experiential learning? Dalam hal ni ialah untuk fixed rubric or scoring system. What's the difference? You can type your answers, yeah? While doing so, I'll add more names here. I nak semua orang jawab ya, jangan hilang. Nanti Dila tak kasih you all sijil. Tambah nama lagi. Yeah. Dia tidak boleh copy. Nur Suaida, Nur Syahida, Noyu, Nur Syafiqah, Rosa Amy. Dia tak atas dia, atas. Bisnis. Jamila, Nur Islam, Asma. Okay. Next one yang akan kena ialah Uzair. Jose, Allahu Akbar. Untuk nombor 3. Traditional learning aims to explain knowledge and or skills by transferring information. That's traditional learning. What does experiential learning will do? Okay. So Siti Nabilah mengatakan bahawasanya the first one ini adalah let the student make decisions. Okay, thank you Siti Nabilah. Alright, so this one is tadi ialah Cik, I can't remember, Dr. Yuduan tadi di sini. Uzi, what's the difference between traditional learning and experiential learning in the sense of what does experiential learning do in the terms of explaining knowledge and skills by transferring information? Apa bezanya? Then the last one, fixed structure, high degree of facilitation, will go to dia dah terus buat Dr. Zalina Matnawi. Okay? Zalina, this Uzi. Okay, type. Sekiranya ada lain yang mahu cuba, I'll do this number 1. You all boleh try type dekat comment, dekat box. What do you think your answers will be? Okay. Okay, usually in my classroom, what I'll do is I'll choose for the answer number 1, for example, I'll choose around 5 of them to do. Supaya, kenapa dia tak nak isi ya? Supaya there'll be more chances for everyone to speak. We have to understand sometimes our students wait for their names to be called, even though they have the answer, they want to answer, they are really eager to do it, but sometimes because their names are not called, they don't want to do it. So that's the difference in Malaysia. Dalam sistem luar negara, in overseas system, they don't really care about whether they get it right or wrong. They just put up their hands and terus jawab je. Tak ya, tak tidak, tak betul, tak tidak kan. But that's the spirit that they have. So in Malaysia, sometimes this is where we as a lecturer, we build students' confidence level, because that's one of the issues of graduate employability. Sebab budak-budak kita tak ada keyakinan diri. They don't have that high of confidence level. So maybe if all of us are doing some things in the classroom, we are going to make it a bit better for them for the future. Okay? Good. I've got some answers here. Oops. So one thing in learning online, sometimes you have to be patient. Okay, kadang-kadang kan students do take a bit of time to answer. So you all you have to actually consider the pauses. You kena pause lah sikit. Walaupun you might rasa macam, alah budak-budak ni tak jawab ke? You know, but you give them time to Google. Sometimes they Google kan. You give them time to think, to Google. Because kalau kadang-kadang kita ni bolok rasa kan macam how are they going to answer, macam aku malu sorang-sorang. So don't be embarrassed, okay? Don't be embarrassed of waiting, because in real classroom sometimes we do need to actually give them a bit of time to think. Okay, budak-budak ni bukan dia terus pandai, right? So I'm typing answers from everyone here, from Dr. Yam, from Uzi, from Dr. Zalina ya. Students, info, through learning. Okay, good. We've got some answers here. So traditional, teacher-centered, teacher-focused. The difference, some answered let the student make decision, which is you are giving to the student, which will be student-centered. Very good. To Dr. Siti Nabilah and Dr. Yam, very good. The second one is learning outcomes are prescribed to a fixed rubric. So what's number 2? So student decide their own learning. Okay, their own learning, their own pace. So this is true, and there's a bit more explanation later on. Okay. And number 3, aim to explain knowledge or skills by transferring information, which is teacher transferring. But experiential learning, some of you said it's hands-on, it's learning by doing, and the students gain information through the learning activities. All right. And the last one is actually flexible structure, minimal facilitation. Okay. This is yeah. Thank you everyone for your response. Yeah. So this is what is it. So it is actually a lot of the answers were actually correct from the brainstorming activity. Well done. What we have done just now is practically a student centered. We are giving the student to think, giving the student a spectrum of knowledge, a spectrum of space for them to actually say anything they want. If the students are actually critical, they will actually choose the right answers. That's what we should do in Google. When Google, we type something, all the information will come out. But giving the students the analytic skills to analyze which one is correct and which one is incorrect is actually a skill that's not taught anywhere. Okay, it's not being taught directively anywhere. Hence, we need to use these opportunities to actually help the students to actually choose the right thing. Contoh just a very simple example. By choosing things in Google. I don't have final year students. You may all of you have the experience of that, but I have masters and PhD students. Even at this level, sometimes I have to feed them at first with how to choose the right papers to read. Sometimes I assume malah budak PhD takkan tak tahu nak pilih paper apa. You know, we have that actually that thought that they will know it. But when they come after this the second meeting and they read rubbish, you are so upset because apa yang korang belajar sama dalam hidup ni? But then you keep on pinpointing. Well, not you. I pinpointed to them before this. I said, apa yang korang buat sebelum ni Macam during your master's day, how do you actually read? How do you choose your literature reviews? How do you choose your journal? But then don't do that. That's wrong, isn't it? So it's my responsibility to teach them. It's my responsibility to actually groom them, because that's the purpose of a supervisor. That's the purpose of a lecturer. I learned that we have to stop the blaming game. I have to stop blaming our education system. Stop doing that, because if we keep on blaming others, our students will go nowhere. Hence, we have to improve ourselves. Number 2, we cannot spoon feed them. Because we have done it, kita senang je. It's easy for us to choose papers for them. It's like, kacang goreng. It's so easy. But then we don't do that. We cannot do that. Though we want to be fast. We want them to be fast. Cepat sikit boleh tak? Again, you have to remember, you have to give them space. But when you give them space, you give them a period of time when you should finish. For example, just now I didn't do it, but I say, okay, I'll give you 1 minute to think. Okay, guys, 1 minute, you can Google, you can do whatever, then you fill in. You have to give a period of time for them to actually think about it, to choose wisely. It's the same as postgraduate, as PITA students as well. Again, you need to be there. You need to be the supervisor, you need to be the lecturer there. To help them think, to help them choose properly. Okay. The third one, aim to explain knowledge and skills by transferring information. The difference is the experiential learning aim to develop knowledge and skills. Okay, not just but we are doing both knowledge and skills by giving them experience in doing it. Okay. And the third one, traditional learning is pretty fixed, but experiential learning is very flexible structure and minimal facilitation. Flexible structure means the students have the autonomy of what they do, of how they do it. They just need to actually fulfill the objective in the end. we will actually help with the process if they are lost, if they are stuck. But if they are not, we can actually ask them to use the highway or jalan persekutuan or even jalan tikus. Whatever way they want to use it, jalan, is it far or whether it's fast, is it slow, doesn't matter. But they have to reach to a certain destination, the same destination. So the structure is pretty flexible, and we facilitate very minimally by actually guiding, guiding them. All right. This is what experiential learning do. The first one, the students will remain focused of the objective. They will be remain focused of what they want to actually achieve at the end of the course or at the end of the activity. Okay. Experiential learning will actually give different kind of students, different learning styles to actually enjoy the classroom, because they can actually use their own learning strategies at their own pace, their own way, to reach to a learning outcome. Some students will learn faster, but sorry, not some. Most students will learn faster because they are actually they have it's hands on. So they do it. When they do it, they actually grasp it pretty quickly. All right. Experiential learning will actually ask them to think on their feet. They have to really think quickly and to think of answers quickly. Hence, when they do that, they can solve real problems. Okay, for bullet number 4, think on their feet. Again, sometimes our students, even ourselves, when we think on our feet, sometimes we think wrongly. Sometimes we have different answers. Sometimes the answers that we have there and then is not actually the strongest answer that we can have. Hence, the process of unlearn and relearn is very, very important for you to stress in your classroom. And you need to actually know where and when the students got things wrong. Okay, then you actually help the unlearning process. How? This is when at the end of the lessons, you actually give them quick assessment, quick quiz. You cannot say, okay, siapa faham, siapa tak faham, okay, faham, semua orang akan cakap faham, okay, semua orang akan senyap. You cannot do that. It doesn't work in the Malaysian environment. You sometimes have to give a takeaway note. Okay, what did I learn from this session? Or or if you are teaching maths, you are giving them one math question and then whether they can answer or not. You have to actually take those and actually assess them quickly. Then you have to give feedback quickly. When you give feedback quickly, the students can unlearn quickly and learn the correct things quickly. Okay, this is very important. Why? Sometimes our problem is we don't actually give feedback. We assume lepas habis satu assignment, after we finish, sorry, there's international lecturers here, so I should speak in English all the time. Okay, when we are actually dealing with feedback, sometimes we give feedback a bit too late, meaning that we mark our assessments at week 14, week 15, when the carry marks are due. And at that point of time, sometimes they have forgotten what they have learned in week 4. Apa assessment week 4? Don't ingat dah. I can't remember whatever I learned already. They don't remember anymore. And when they don't remember anymore, sometimes the knowledge have actually fossilized and they actually learn the wrong thing. That is what we don't want. Okay. Therefore, I really, really hope all lecturers take seriously on giving feedback. If you do it quickly, if you are in classroom, especially with technologies at the moment, using Mentimeter, you actually can see the graphs will come out. Okay, 70% got it right, 30% got it wrong. You can actually see who's the 30%, and this 30% you can just address them quickly in WhatsApp. Okay, and I say, okay, I don't save students' number kan, siapa save student number kan. So I say, okay, these people, can you please PM me, and then you actually explain to them. Okay, what do you think about this? Okay, and then you have to take a bit of time. It might cost you about half an hour to do that. And sometimes if it's too big of a class, maybe 10 to 15 of them, I actually ask for them to meet about half an hour after my tarawih. I do that. I have to do that because if not, it'll be very difficult when I go to the next lesson and they don't understand the previous lesson. It'll go haywire. Okay, I'm talking about, for example, in my English for occupational purposes. If they don't get it right the first time during the writing objectives and using the right tenses when when they speak about their experiences, they will do the same mistake when they actually talk about themselves during interview. The interview will be the next topic, or the topic after, 3 topics after. I don't want them to make the same mistake, because it's actually repetition is just building up. And I think it's the same for all courses. You are building up from a very basic to a bit more complex topics. So please remember, feedback is crucial. Okay, it's crucial for you to give feedback in the classroom. Okay, we are going to look at some of the examples of online experiential learning. Okay, I'm using EXPL, experiential learning. All right. So for this experiential learning, what we are going to do is, I am going to actually teach something that the course learning outcome is you are going to recognize parts of leaf. Tiba-tiba jadi orang-orang daun-daun. Okay. This is not my field, so if I've got it wrong, those from FPSM, please help me with this. Okay. Okay. My teaching strategies, I'm going to use 2 strategies. The first one is I'm going to give lecture. Okay. And the second one, I'm going to go for a field trip. The field trip is virtual field trip, but I'm going to go through with you later on. Okay. And the assessment is a quick quiz. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. All right. This. Okay. For experiential learning 1, what we are going to do is I show, I tell. I show you and I tell you. The first step is we are going to look at the parts of the leaf here. And now, if in your room, wherever you are, if you have a plastic leaf in your room or house, go take them and look at them and try to label them. Just follow the diagram here and look at it and follow. Okay. These are the leaves part. This big one is called what? It's a leaf. Okay. Leaf. And the ones here is vein. Okay, vein. It's not vein, okay, it's vein. And up there is tip. Okay, this is very traditional learning. Okay, I'm just going to show you the bad stuff first. Okay, this is the tip. The tip is the point part. But some leaves, they don't have pointy part, they have crooked part. Okay, this is what we call a blade. Okay, and then this is the axil. Petiole. Siapa dalam sini pada daun ni petiole ke petiole? Help me, okay? You can switch on your mic. This is, alah takut. Okay, class, who can help me with this? How to actually pronounce this and this? Use your Google, apa tu? Google, the speaking Google if you can. Come on, find how to pronounce these two for me. That's the trick for teachers who don't know things. Since they are online, you can use this tactic. Okay, okay, come on. Or those who can actually type it down. How do I pronounce these two? This one and this one. Petiole and Stipule. How do I pronounce them? I know it already. Okay, come on, you all. Macam-macam. Kada yang dah type. Sorry. Petiole. Petiole. Betul. Petiole. This is petiole. Petiole is, thank you Dr. Yam. Petiole is this part. Mana daun yang boleh cabut? Ha. This is petiole. This is very teacher-centered. Look, I am the one who's holding it. I'm not giving you the experience. I'm just showing you. Petiole. Okay. And this one is stipule. Ada tak? Oh, ada. Yeah, stipule. Okay, now, what we are going to do, class, what we're going to do, I want you to scan the QR code, scan this QR code, and what you're going to do, you are going to do a leaf anatomy exercise. You are going to click the box, then you're going to click the correct blue button. Okay, let's try to do it together. Okay, you are going to match parts of the leaf. Others try as well, okay? What you're going to do is those just now, we have gone through all parts of the leaf. Remember, I show you just now, student, I show you. Now what you do is, if you have the answer, click this and click which one is correct. Which part is correct. For example, we'll go to vein. I think this is vein. Click there. Ah, correct. Okay, you are going to do that quick. I want everyone to try. Oops. Just go back there. Kejap. Okay, scan. I'm going to give you 1.5 minutes to do this, okay? Hope you scanned it. So I want not to show the answer. I'll go back here. Okay, I hope everyone is doing their match part of leaf. All right, please don't worry about the time. The most important thing, you got all of them correct, okay? Don't worry about the time. So this is what you should do to your students. And this Quizlet is quite good because it doesn't really, it gives students chances. If it's wrong, they actually give more chances for them to get right. Okay, so it will, the penalty that they'll get is actually the increment of time. Right. For this, remember my CLO was actually to recognize parts of leaf. That was my learning outcome, right? So, and I gave lecture just now, and the assessment was a quiz. All right. Okay. I hope everybody's done. It's 1 minute and 15 seconds already. Good. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to go to the next one. So this is the next one. This is exactly the same course learning outcome, but I'm teaching the different way. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use a field trip. Okay, I call it a field trip. This is cool if, okay, the last experiential learning classes that I did before this, I actually made all the participants to actually go out from Ibn Rushd and find leaves. That's, I asked them to do that. And I don't mind if they go wherever, but I gave them time, 3 minutes to come back. Okay. And all of them did. Alhamdulillah, they didn't go back. Okay, so one is very important for you to give them a time frame so they know how long they can get, because if not, they can be carried away of finding the perfect leaf. The perfect leaf. So we don't want that. We just want them to learn. So here, what we'll do is, number one, in 3 minutes, you need to find 3 different types of leaves. Or in this case, if you are doing online classes, you can ask before the class to find the 3 different types of leaf before 10 a.m. on Thursday, because our 10 a.m. is our class. All right. Number 2, we want them to actually take the dried leaves, but if they can't find the dried leaves, what they can do, if they take a photo of the, sorry, not a figure of anatomy, sorry, take the photo of the leaf. This is wrong, okay? If they can take a photo of the leaf. Why? Because we are teaching them just to care for the earth. Don't pluck things when it's still there. We can actually learn by taking the dried leaves. Okay? And you say, okay, see you in 3 minutes. Let's go. So they'll go and pick whatever. All right. Just imagine that you have this experience. You are giving your students experience. Even though it's online classes, you are giving your student experience to go out and come back. Just imagine your students have actually touched 3 different types of leaves, because we know there are different types of leaves. They are different. It's different sizes. It's different. The veins are different, and they have the experience of touching them and looking them without us teaching them, without us annotating to them. Ini apa, ini apa, ini apa. We are not doing that to them. We are actually ask them to look. And then we are actually giving them the diagram that we have earlier to actually compare and contrast. So they have this without us telling them. They have this and they compare to the leaves they have. This is what's happening. You are giving your students the experience of touching, the experience of exploring things, the experiences of actually developing their own theories first before you actually check whether they learn it correctly. All right. This is for sciences. But what if it's in a language classroom? When language classroom, can we do this kind of experiments? Yes, we can. How? By starting off, we are giving them an experience of talking about the topic. For example, tell me something about yourself. Okay, that's what we do in UOP again. Though we haven't taught them how to do it properly yet, they should know how to talk about themselves, how to describe themselves. Just throw it to them and ask them to say anything they want about themselves. Trust me, the first few videos, I'll just give you the first few videos, you will actually see, my name is Azza Jauhar and I'm 23 years old. I'm from Seremban Negeri Sembilan. Thank you. That's it. Because we don't teach them anything. We just give them that. That is tell me something about yourself. But then when you actually give some language structures to them, blank, you have to talk about experience, you have to talk about education, and you have to talk about your skills. You give them guide, they will actually flourish. Okay, that's in language, right? But again, we are going back to the field, to the daun, to the leaf again. Now, you are going to give the same assessment, which is that what we did just now. You are going to give them the same assessment, but we actually gave them different strategies of teaching. The first one, 1A, was the traditional teaching. Conventional, not so traditional. Traditional is really chalk and board. The second one is actually we are giving them an experience of touching and picking their own leaves. Compare 1A and 1B. Okay, which way will the students learn faster? Okay, think first, okay? I need everyone to think about the answers. Which way? Is it Your I tell, I show, I tell, or field trip? Which one? That's the first one. The second one, which way can cater different learning styles? Which is VAC. VAC is visual for V, A, auditory, R is for read and write, K is for kinesthetic. Why? Okay, I need everyone to think of an answer because I'm going to spin the wheel again and I will actually ask a few of you to give your opinion. Again, it's okay if your opinion differs from others. Okay, it's all right. Okay, because um, it's life. Life can be different. Okay. Again, what I do just now is I'm giving them the opportunity to speak up, and then I'm giving them a chance to actually share whatever they think is correct. Okay, whatever they think, they perceive is correct. You are giving them the space of sharing without actually saying, eh, no, salah. Tak faham eh? You are not doing that to them. Jangan terkejut eh. Sorry, jangan terkejut. Okay, you don't actually do that to them. Okay. You are actually giving them a space. Orang kat luar terkejut. Kelakar. Sorry ya. Nak tergelak. You are actually giving them a chance to actually share their thoughts, okay, and you are going to build their self confidence. Okay, saya akan putar ya, putar. Oh, tadi Kalis dah keluar kan? I saw Kalis went out. Alah, lupa rumah. Zeda tadi. Sorry Zeda, I remove you. Sorry. My bad. Tapi Uzi nak cakap lagi boleh juga. No worries. Dr. Nurul Islam, are you in? If you're in, you are going to share which one is what your opinion. This one is cool, okay? So you can just remove people's name so that it's not going to be two people doing the same thing. The next one is Dr. Shahrir. I'm going to choose another one. Kalis, I forgot keluarkan you ke Kalis ada lagi? Oh. Next one is that. Okay. All right. Which way will the students learn faster? Can I have Dr. Muhammad Nurul Islam to help me with this? Lagi tak, Dr. Muhammad Nurul Islam? Lagi. Dr. Muhammad Nurul Islam, can you help me with this? Which one do you think, which way will they learn faster? Will it be the I show, I tell? Or, I show, I tell? Or field trip? Which one? I know you switch on your mic. You can speak up or you can type. For Dr. Shahrir, you should please do the question number 2. Which way can cater different learning styles? All the 4 learning styles and why? Okay. Or if you think it actually emphasizes on one learning style, you can say that as well. All right. Dr. Ahmad Nazif, you can choose number 1 or number 2. It's up to you. All right. It's more science kan, ada tak orang social science dalam ni? I nak cari seorang social science. You can type your answers or you can switch on your mic and say it, okay? Bersyukur kerana. Okay, can I have Dr. Azrina Musa to actually compare which one do you think will be more it will be better learning experience for your student? Will it be show and tell, or will it be field trip? Okay, so we've got 3 sciences and 1 social science here. All right. So, Dr. Ahmad Nazif say it's field trip. Okay, why is it field trip? Why do you say it's field trip? Dr. Shahrir and Dr. Muhammad, Nurul, your answers as well, yeah, dengan Dr. Azlina Musa. Okay, more psychomotor involved. Okay, good. Okay, so when more psychomotor involved, okay, yeah, this is basic education. When you actually use your hands and things, it will actually connect it to the cognitive part. Okay, so when that happens, more learning, more experience, and more understanding of certain thing will actually happen. Okay, so that's the beauty of having psychomotor. Okay, however, that's a question. The question is when they don't have the apparatus at home. Daun, okay, leaves, we have leaves everywhere. But when they don't have the apparatus at home, when they have to do lab work, but they cannot have the apparatus, do you actually do experiential learning as well? Do we have that liberty to do it as well? That's a big question though. Or can we find alternatives for them to actually think about it? This is another thing that we can think about. Okay. Dr. Mariam said learning by doing. For 1B, she chooses 1B, which is field trip, because they are doing things. Good. Do we have students who don't like doing things in the classroom but just listen? Do you think you have those kind of students? Yes, it's very true. Okay, just like Dr. Yam, Madam Nick, and Dr. Saliana said, we do have the visual people, or as well V, and also R, read and write. They are quite passive in their learning, whereby they are not adventurous enough to go out. In this case, we experiential learning do actually help them as well. How? By actually giving them this. When they actually read and have visual, they learn as well. So we are not discriminating any parts of learning, any parts of learners. Okay. Therefore, it's very, very important when you actually do experiential learning, you have to actually take into account all types of learners. Okay, and we don't actually assume all learners are the same. This is very, very important. True that sometimes we don't have the time, to think about it. That's why for me, having a group of people to actually brainstorm on new activities or on more interesting ways, new strategies on tackling people, tackling new generation of students, it is crucial. Okay, you cannot work in silo. You have to actually discuss about things. All right. Okay. I've heard from Dr. Ahmad Nazif. I did not forget about Dr. Muhammad Nurul and Dr. Shahrir. That's another trick. Okay, you all jangan buat-buat lupa tau. You cannot suddenly forget, lupa. So, they think they can escape. Okay, there's no escape. Okay, type anything that you think it is. Okay. Which one do you think is, in your opinion, which way will the students learn faster? And why? Your reason? And which way can cater different learning styles and why? Okay. Sama-sama. Okay. All right. Hold on, I have to switch off the sound. Okay, I'm waiting for the two. Cepat, korang. Yang tak nak balik ke? Cepat, Mas. Dr. Syarif and Dr. Muhammad Nurul. Okay, I'm doing a bit of trading here. Okay, so while waiting for them to type their answers, this is what happened in the this is what happened during the our learning process just now. Okay, the first one is, thank you. The first one, we are actually giving the students a concrete experience, whereby you actually ask them to go out and hold a leaf. You're giving them a concrete experience. Okay. And number two, they actually reflect on their observation. The first observation they made is they look at the figure. They look at the leaf on the in the figure you gave this one just now. You gave them this, and then they actually reflect their observation with what they have in their hands. Is this the vein or is this the vein? Eh, is this the lupa dah. I lupa dah. Tak nampak saya ilmu tak melekat. Is this the blade or is this the tip? Which one? So in this, we are reflecting our observation. That's the second step. The third step is abstract conceptualizations. Remember just now, the instruction I gave to them is I asked them to choose 3 types of leaves. And using these 3 types of leaves, the abstract conceptualizations happen when all the 3 are not the same, but hey, I'll figure out these are veins. This leaf and this leaf have different types of veins. If they are good students, if they are very advanced students, they will actually discover, oh, there are actually different types of leaves, you know, and maybe that's going to be the next topic, but they have explored it themselves because they are trying to make the abstract really more concrete. Okay. And the fourth one is active experimentation. Okay, this one is not really done in this learning. Is in the leaf activity just now. We are not actually giving them new things to experiment with. But in real experiential learning, we can do that. Okay, we can do that. There's room for that. Okay. I'm going to share, but we are not going to do an exercise on this, but this is a cool session that I have done with some of my students, and it works very well. What is it? It's a student-generated test questions. Student generated their own test questions. But the thing is, I don't use it for quiz or final exam, but it's actually a good way for them to actually, for us to actually assess what they understand, how deep is their understanding on certain topics. Okay, what happened? Number one is after finishing one lesson, you ask all students to prepare between 3 to 5 test questions. Again, this is a bit, you can actually make it less or make it more. It depends on the topic you're teaching. And if they have their own questions that they want to share, they want to ask, they can include in there as well. Number two, you not just questions, they have to find a related answer to it. You are teaching them how to build an answer scheme actually. So questions and answer. Usually they will understand how difficult it is to create a question, because sometimes they know, okay, I want to ask, they'll explore the book, okay, I want to ask about this one. But then this is, macam mana buat soalan, it's so difficult to create the question. Then they realize how to build a good question to answer a certain question, to answer a certain answer. But sometimes learners do have these questions that they want to ask. Jom tanya 3 question, but then, alamak, I have to build my own answer scheme. Then they will actually find it difficult to actually build an answer. Usually, I'll give this like a homework at the end of the session. After an end of a lesson, I'll give them this to do it. Okay, and I ask them to actually submit just before the next class happen. All right. The next class, you split your students into pairs. Okay, and ask them to test each other with the questions. All right. And then if time permits, you get students to share the results. Okay. At this point of time, if you do it beforehand, you can actually skim through the questions. When you skim through the questions, you will know this question is not valid, this question is not reliable, and you might go back to the students, sebenarnya apa yang kau nak tanya, dek? You can go back to them and ask them, what do you really want to ask actually? Because I don't understand your question. Can you tell me what you want to ask? Or sometimes, because they have given the answers, you can actually help them to actually do the questions properly. Because if not, during this session, during this session, during this session, if you don't actually what's that session called, vet, if you don't vet the questions, they will think the students, the other friend got it wrong. It's actually they didn't ask the correct question. So we have to teach them that. Okay. When they do this, usually they will actually learn a lot of things without us going through it again. Okay. We don't have to go through things again and again to make sure everybody understand. Faham tak? Faham tak? Korang faham tak? You don't have to do it, because usually when we say, okay, you are going to ask your friends question tomorrow, ask the hardest question. Okay. They will actually tackle the hardest part. They'll try to do that. Okay. And some of them will actually have apa, senang je, you will be amazed on the variety of questions that they'll come up with. And some good students will use the technology to actually create techniques of answering as well. So again, you are actually giving the students experience of testing others. They don't realize by testing others, they are actually improving their own understanding. Okay, this is that's one of the coolest part. They are learning by doing without knowing that they are learning. Right? Okay. So I've given you answers to this already. Okay, tak apa. Other experiential learning activities. Okay, these are some of the experiential learning activities that can happen. For example, case study. I'm just giving an example of case study. Those who have other experiences or other techniques of you doing, please share, okay, in the chat box. The first one is case study. Contoh, an example. For example, we are teaching about entrepreneurship course. Okay, entrepreneurship course. We want to actually see a case study of Shopee, for example. We want to know which one is better. So you might want to divide the class into a few groups. So this one do Shopee, this one do Lazada, that one do Zalora, that one do Poplook, for example, 4 groups. Okay, what we are going to do today, each group have to do a case study on how many steps you have to actually click until your order is complete. So that's the case study that you're giving them. You don't have to give them a specific thing, but you might say the range of item, the range of amount of item is up to 150 ringgit, for example. All right, it must be only one item. Kalau a lot of items, it will be more clicks kan. So only one item, it must be around 150 ringgit. You say them. Okay, now I'll give you 15 minutes to do it. Remember, I want to know how many clicks, and I want you to show what clicks are they. At the end of the day, we want to know which clicks less. When we know which click less, we will know it has a more efficient efficient, it's more user friendly because you don't click so much until the end. So you are giving a case study. Okay, and however, sebenarnya, hakikatnya, you already know the answer. Okay, you already know answer. And you might not want to tell them why you do it, but at the end you ask them, okay, now we think that this is an assumption, Zalora has less click as compared to Pop Look. Okay, why do you think, which one is better, Zalora or Pop Look? What do you think? So students will start debating, they will be debating in different things. Sometimes because it's just that sometimes they just like Pop Look website because it's pretty, they actually say Pop Look is good. But again, as a lecturer, you say, okay, now focus on the clicks. How many clicks you are doing, okay? When you focus on that, you know that they have to be focused on the customer's experience, on buying things. Okay, sometimes people click because they don't have money. They click, je, browse through, browse je. Jalan-jalan macam kalau kita ada shopping mall kan, kita jalan, window shopping. That's clicking all about. You click, tengok sebenarnya duit, bila gaji masuk tak? Oh, tak ada. You know, you're just tengok, seronok when you don't have that much money to buy anyway. But in this case, you really want to buy things. Students will say, less click is actually good, and it's actually based on theory as well. Less click means better customers experience, and that is the thing that you want to teach them. They will actually remember that longer as compared to you tell them in classroom. Okay, kelas ingat less click, better learning experience. Better learning experience, better shopping experience as compared to they click it themselves. All right, okay, that's case study. Okay, the second one, survey, creating or executing survey. I'm just I'm sharing an experience that I had. I have to actually help a friend who actually this was my experience in Australia. She needed to go out for something, and I said, okay, can you relieve my class, Azza? I'm actually teaching on apa dia kata tu, on probability. She said, probability. I said, can I do something else which is like more meaningful to myself, because I don't know much about maths and probability at that time. I was teaching year 3 students and she was teaching year 5 students. So I said, what I'll do is I'll just bring them by the road and look at cars. Okay, so why? So I don't know. I'll just bring them out to go at cars. So what I did was, Allah gave me ilham at that time, an idea. I said, what you are going to do today is you are going to count cars. Okay, it's a very busy road near the school. So first, you are going to divide your groups into different we are going to divide into different categories. One is types of car, whether it's MPV or a sedan or whatever, okay, or ute, whatever. Second one, we are going to actually look at the colors of the car. So, what is it again? One is type of car, two is color of car, and then you are going to look at the driver of the car. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. All right, so everyone divide your thing, divide your group into people, and then we are going next to the road and we are going to do something. So I give you 15 minutes to look at the cars, count the cars, take all the details. Using this, I'm giving them the experience of actually counting, creating, and executing, doing survey without them realizing that they're doing it. And what happened in the end, I asked them to actually build graphs using it. And after that, they were debating on it. So it leads to another whereby they actually debate that not just looking at the 3 variables that I had just now, type of cars, color of cars, and who's the driver, they were debating of the speed as well. You know, if it's man driving, it'll be very fast, and the lady driving is not that fast. You know, that type of debate came out, which is not even in the variable. It was partly a variable, but it creates a good experience for them because they observe things themselves, right? These are the things that we have to do in our own classroom. It's not just, this should not just be in a primary classroom. It should be in across the curriculum, right? The debate is cool when in science classrooms, in sciences, in science subjects, you want to actually talk about pro and cons of things. For example, now about vaccine, the two vaccines, which one is better? Or the three vaccines, you can have debate among three groups. It's very interesting to do that. The fourth one is problem-based learning. I think a lot of us know about it. We are giving them problems, and it should be real problems. It's not make-up problems. It should be real problems whereby they have to solve their problems in their own unique way. Project-based learning is basically is actually group work. Problem-based, it doesn't have to be group. It can be individual, but project-based learning, usually, most of the time, 95% of the time, is actually a group work whereby different people have different tasks to do. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is community-based learning. What is community-based learning? Is actually you are actually having the stakeholders outside our gate to actually work together to create the experience for the learners. It can be one-way situation, one way whereby we are giving them something new, we are giving them the learning experience, or it can be both ways, whereby not just I'm teaching you a new technology or a new knowledge and you're applying it, but they are actually teaching us a new thing which can make the learner's experience flourish more. For me, community-based learning usually is paired with this project-based learning. Usually is paired. But I think I have been doing this for the past, 5, 6 years. Even though it's online, I still include the community within my teaching, because I think my students learn a lot more when they learn how to give back. Our students enjoy actually participating with others, enjoy actually sharing with others. From theory, they learn most of the things are theoretical, but they make it practical nowadays. It is very interesting how you can see your students bloom after 4 weeks, 5 weeks of community project-based learning. All right. Fishbowl. Fishbowl or listen to the expert. It's not really expert. Okay, what is fishbowl? Is when you're actually giving jigsaw puzzle pieces. Okay, each group you are actually teaching one topic. One topic have 5 subtopics. You are giving all these 5 subtopics to different groups of people. So this group, say, which have topic A, will be the expert of topic A. This will be the expert of topic B, expert of topic C, D, and E. All right. So what does fishbowl means is fishbowl when A, for example, when A actually speaks, all B, C, D, and E will listen to him or her. Okay. So fishbowl is when, okay, fishbowl tu kalau macam tak ada pula bowl kat sini. Fishbowl, everybody goes around them and watch. That's what fishbowl means. The word means. Okay, everybody watch. This is quite good, especially when you are actually asking them, the students, to the scaffolding is actually towards the end of the scaffold. It's not really basic. It's actually when the students have actually mastered a few parts of basics and they are actually enhancing their knowledge. Because why? Sometimes we don't want them to give the wrong answers or the wrong knowledge to people. Therefore, sometimes we have to give a good basis first to them. All right. The second last one is competitions. competitions are great if you can do it in class. Okay, it's awesome when I always enjoy when if I see young lecturers doing interesting things just to enhance their students' competitive spirits. Um, what will happen in this is one, if there's a competition, you are going to give a very clear guideline of how to compete and how to win. Um, and everybody is at the same level play field. Everybody is at the same ground. When they play different, when they did play that way, everybody has a chance to win. Okay, and it'll be very interesting for you lecturers, for us lecturers, to actually create different platforms, different categories of learning. Different categories of winners, because sometimes we know that there are a group of students, you know lah, memang susah lah nak dapat because they are not that creative, they are not that um, they're not that fast. Okay, so maybe you can create the most motivated group. You know, you can create different categories for it. All right, and the last one is again experimental, going to labs, as well as field work, going to field. This is the best, I think, experiential learning that can happen. Yet again, since we are actually bound with online learning, we need to be creative on doing this. Okay, and I've seen a lot of strategies done by some of the lecturers in doing this. Okay, we need to consider this. Okay, in experiential learning, please remember the learners are fine if they are doing mistakes. Okay, it's good if they make a lot of mistakes, but it's our duty, or you have to create a, a good peer system that can actually make it correct, to correct the mistakes, right? We cannot, in experiential learning, we cannot leave the mistakes to be a mistake forever. Okay, kita kena betulkan kesalahan. Therefore, you have to be alert. You have to create ways on how you can actually assess their learning, right? Number two is the experiential learning actually create tailor-made lessons to the students. Hence, it's extra important for you to give clear instructions. Very, very clear instructions. You give the students chances to actually ask if they don't understand about the instructions. When this happens, the learning will become very personal and become very relevant to them, right? The third one, when they are doing so, they will actually know why they are doing it. Okay, that's why at the beginning of the course, at the beginning of the lesson just now, I shared what is the objective of we doing it. So the learning objective is we have to learn the parts of leaf. Remember yang first time tadi kan? So we tell them the objective of the lesson, so the learners know that's the end point. Okay, I learned with the starting point. The starting point, I know what's the end. And at the end, okay, I kena capai benda tu. The parts of leaf, I have to know that. Do I understand what I'm doing? So I'll do it however to reach there. That's experiential learning. Okay. The fourth one is matching students with appropriate activities. All right. This might actually apply in sciences classroom as well, because in English in language classrooms, we have different sets of people from MUET Band 1 to MUET Band 4 students, and sometimes we have international students in the classroom. This semester, I'm very lucky to have a lot of courses in my classroom. I have biology students, I have marketing students, I have apa tu Allah Ahmad bilang possessor students, I have science students, I have non-science students, social science students. I've got a lot of things happening. If I give them the same thing, it is very unlucky for the weak students. Okay, therefore, sometimes in experiential learning, I have to actually differentiate things a bit. Okay, when we differentiate things a bit, it will match the student's ability. But again, the end is the same. Okay, it's just that sometimes you have to give a bit more push, you have to give a bit more clues to certain groups of people. You have to give them a bit more help, a bit more language help to them. Okay, number 5, learners reflect on their experiences. This is the best point of experiential learning, because they will highlight on the experiences. And the last one, we as instructors, we delegate the authority to students. Now, the learner are autonomous learner. They learn by themselves. But again, it's okay to make mistakes. Okay, it's okay to make mistakes. Okay. All right. How we do it? One is we have to carefully structured learning outcomes. This is why CQI is important. Okay, I'm going back there because sometimes we have to remember, sometimes we want to experiment new things in the classroom. Life can be very boring if you actually teach the same thing directly for the 5 semesters. My limit is 3 semesters. If I teach the same thing again and again, I'll be bored. I don't know, because this is new for the students, but I will be bored. Benda sama je aku ajar. If I actually apply new things, I have to actually ask myself. Sometimes my CQI is not at the end of the lesson. At the end of the semester. My CQI is actually at the end of the lesson, because I have another group who's going to do it. So I have to actually improve my lesson actually directly after that. The second one, briefing sessions or handouts. Okay, this can help learners, especially the weak ones, okay, to brief them first, or to give them handouts of what to do. Okay, ni you kena buat you ingat okay, step 1, step 2. But for good learners, you can just let them fly and actually do whatever they want. They can do that. Okay, if you have good students, and if you have actually create clear goals. All right. Experiential learning create opportunities for reflection. When you ask why, that's the best part, to know the reflection. And sometimes collecting the answers of whys can be a research for yourself. It's actually a good action research for you, because you actually learn why they do. You actually learn the cognitive process, the metacognitive process, thinking about thinking. You learn about that. It's good sometimes if you actually have it written, because kalau verbal, sometimes you have to type it back again to actually reflect. But if it's written, you read them and you can actually group them, group of what are the reasonings, and you can see the different group of thinking, which can be very interesting. That tak sangka, tak sangka, coolnya, you have that. I always have that, macam interestingnya kelas ni sebab tak sangka, you know how people think. And from my experience, I can see I might be wrong, okay, but the students in nowadays, their thinking is a bit more shallow, okay, as compared to the previous years. The previous years, their depth of thinking is way better, but nowadays, I need to train my students to think beyond superficial level, not just assuming things right by reading things in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You need to go back to the root of the problem. You have to teach them to do it, right? And that's the thing, and that's the interesting thing. When you actually look for reflections, you can actually teach them more about life, not just them for being smart, but they can be street smart as well. At least they can go far in life, inshallah. The last one is assessment criteria. Okay, this two is related. You are going to actually given the tasks, tasks that really twin with the objective. It's not far off, but it actually complement, and it's part of the assessment criteria. Okay, Moon 2004 actually have a good rubric for assessment criteria for experiential learning. Okay. Now, what I promised at the end of the course, you are going to actually create your own experiential learning. Okay, in my CA. Okay, this is what you are going to do. I'll show you this one. Kejap ya. We are going to actually create mentah. This one. Shoo. Cik nak show dia. Alah, depan. Okay. What I'm going to do is, Dila, can you please share the link to the chat, Dila? Thank you, Dila. Dila hebat tu ramah, Dila. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is, I want you to write your name and your email and where you're from and course taught. And you are going to share with me, it can be one of your course learning outcome, your CLOs now, or it can be a made up course learning outcome that you think, ni menarik ni untuk buat experiential learning. And what domain does it do? Domain ni yang whether if it's knowledge is C, is it PLO1 or is it PLO3? Is it critical CTPS or is it knowledge PLO3? So, and what is it, C2 ke, C3 ke, C4 ke, what is it? Where does it belong? And then what is your delivery method and your assessment? Okay, this is not limited to this. Okay, you might want to tick or you might want to write here. Okay, from my understanding, Dila said that this is going to be the point where if you fill this in, is going to be count as your latihan. Betul tak, Dila? Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But for me, it's very interesting if all of you can share, you can start typing ya. Pilih satu line seorang. Ni contohnya Cik Kasar kat sini, Dr. Nazif kat sini, Dr. Yam kat sini, Prof. Nora kat sini, Prof. Hamiza kat sini. Okay. So if you fill this in, one is I know that you have actually you can actually apply a bit of things, a bit of knowledge on experiential learning. Two, I can actually correct any misconceptions. Three, you will get 6 jam latihan, 6 hours of training. Number 4, PBR will know whether this course has actually reached the learning outcomes. Okay, so again, this is actually this is contoh takeaway note. Okay, takeaway note, takeaway home note. Okay, you can start doing it now. I know some of you are very quick and some of you have been doing it anyway. Start typing start typing your name, email and PTJ now. Itu dululah, nama, email, PTJ. Type that first. Razifa, for this one, I think this is the other way around. Your delivery method is, correct me if I'm wrong, the delivery method is problem-based learning, but the outcome will be scrapbook, I think. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Azza.
Okay. Design basic. Okay, Dr. Nani, Dr. Wazarani, for this one, your PLO, your learning outcome is present basic financial statement analysis. Okay, all the students, semua pelajar dapat statement analisis yang sama ataupun statement analisis yang berbeza-beza? So, sebab sekiranya benda tu berbeza-beza ikut company ikut ini adalah company financial statement, company A, company B, company C, it'll be very interesting case study. Case study. So, it can be a case study rather than discussion. Discussion is discussion dalam ni strategi ni is not really experiential because discussion is actually the method of reaching it. Tapi apa yang you kasih? Adakah? So maybe it's a case study or maybe it can be a problem or maybe it can be issues, things like that. So kena tak di sini lain lah. In three type of processes involved. Sketch the diagram. Dr. Zalan, cerita sikit ni perlu dia panjang. So, what do you actually want the students to do? They actually make a complete sketch. Tu macam ni lah. Sketch of diagram, operating characteristic. Kena panjang sikit lah. Zalan cerita sikit nanti It's very interesting. Macam mana? Okay. Kalau larat, alah, sian nak type banyak-banyak kan. Okay. Tak apa, buat dulu. Nanti if this and this is ni, nanti I tak tanya soalan. Bukan tak tanya soalan. Sebab kalau I faham, tak apalah. Tapi sebab tadi kat sini tulis lecture kan. That's why I wanted to ask. But try dulu Thank you. Describe the theory, multiple conclusion. Heat transfer in food based on practical results and references. Okay, so they describe the theory, multiple, okay. Dr. Ilham, is your mic okay, Dr. Ilham? Yeah, okay. Usually in the lab, what will the students do, Dr. Ilham?
Usually, hello, before starting to talk.
Yeah.
Actually, we try to simultaneous to make everything based on the experience, something like the real situation. Today, just I understood from the PLO and CLO, which is explained by Dr. Mariam in the morning. Maybe, okay. And the syllabus also is in Bahasa. So we usually do like this. May I know about the...
All right. If it's actually the now, if they actually you can't actually go to labs, can they actually do it at home because it's actually heat transfer in food based? Can they actually do it at home?
In some cases, yes, something like the drying, which is happening in the oven, or something that it's available in the home. In some cases, yes, but in some cases, no. We need to provide the pre-data if we are handling online. Then we try to simultaneous in the real situation and calculation, and based on that explanation.
Okay, good. All right. So this is very interesting, Dr. Ilham, because some of it is yes, but usually if the yeses is actually pretty basic, but then when it comes to more complicated ones, you need the pre-data to actually understand it, isn't it? Is what
Yes,
I'm
yes,
understanding?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
cool.
yes. You are correct. You are
Yeah,
correct.
so that's why I think when you actually give them experiential learning at the first place, to understand, to actually give them the first-hand experience of doing it themselves at home, like doing things in the oven, then it'll be easier for them to understand later on in a very complex data later, because they have the basis is there already, because they're doing it already their own.
Yes, yes.
So I think yes,
Right.
um, because of the COVID, the lab is very difficult. But I think there's you can actually find an alternative, which is I'm glad. I'm glad you can alternative. Okay, thank you very much, Latihan, for your sharing session, for your sharing. Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at Dr. Effendi Hamid. So this is to relate, tak boleh baca pula, to relate the different environmental system for animal society. Okay, Dr. Effendi, can you share field trip? What do you do in the field trip, Dr. Effendi?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Azza. This before I arrange a few trip to Kemaman Zoo with students because to expose to give exposure to them the real the real things, the real animal, not just for in classroom.
Okay. Ya Allah, lebat ni, subhanallah. Do they actually sorry, I'm looking.
Yes.
Is it just they looking at it, or do they actually what do they do during the field trip?
They need to jot down. They need to take picture. The explanation on the notice board something. They need to uh, to observe and thoroughly make notes. make important notes. Anything
Alright.
that they.
Okay. Do you give the questions beforehand?
Sometimes I interrupt. I ask just a spontaneous question to them. What is this? And I relate. Sometimes one time I saw apa burung pegal. I said this is in Malaysian pantun. Harapkan apa pegal makan padi. Not opposite. We always use harapkan pagal makan padi. I told them this the real bird that we refer to as in pantun. Harapkan pegal makan padi, not pagal. Yes, that.
Something new to us. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Wendy. Okay.
Welcome. Okay,
I'll look at other field trips. Ada field trips lain tak? Field trip. Encik Mas Duki. Mas Duki, can you please share? Okay, you are saying that for this one, you demonstrate the technical skills in recreational angling activities. Ini adalah sukan recreational fishing, ya? Okay, tell me what do you do during your field trip, Encik Mas Duki?
Masa field trip tu, terima kasih Dr. Azza. Masa field trip tu, pelajar akan mengaplikasikan apa yang dipelajarkan semasa amali sesuai dengan lokasi memancing dan ikan yang mereka sasarkan.
Okay. Apakah target yang dia kena buat?
Target persiapan peralatan, kaedah penyediaan, penggayaan pemancingan dan juga pengendalian tangkapan.
Okay, it's very psychomotor kan? Okay,
Yes.
Very good. Thank you, Encik Zuki. So when we listen to this, we know that all of them are very practical. So maybe they have doing it in the classroom. Dia dah buat macam mana nak tangkap, ada gaya dia. It's not just, there are certain ways of doing things. During this field trip, you are going to assess them, their psychomotor level. Okay, dalam hal macam masa online ni, Encik Zuki buat gana
Macam online ni, kita akan minta mereka pergi memancing sendiri and then recordkan part-part yang kita dah tetapkan. So part peralatan, part penggayaan umpan, pengendalian tangkapan dan sebagainya. Mereka rekodkan dalam video.
Nice. Okay. Faham. Cantik. Alright. So budak-budak tak ada masalah untuk pergi fishing sendiri, pancing sendiri, they don't have problem
Alhamdulillah setakat ni tak ada masalah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, terima kasih. I'm interested to understand this creative presentation. Benda ni Dr. Zee. Creative presentation. What's that? Can you please share?
Assalamualaikum semua. Creative presentation ni saya tak benarkan mereka guna komputer, tak benar gunakan PowerPoint. So mereka berpatah balik macam zaman dulu-dulu lah. So ada yang keluar idea buat macam baca berita, ada yang buat drama, ada yang buat forum, ada yang debate. So saya bagi dia open-ended, terpulang dekat dia nak present cara macam mana, saya tak bagi format as long as content tu sampai.
Okay. Sekarang ni diorang kena submit dua cara First is diorang kena buat presentation tu dan dia kena juga tulis scientific report.
Ya, betul.
Okay. Cuma dalam hal ni kan, you are assessing dia punya psychomotor. Macam mana you buat tu?
Oh, yang delivery method tu, saya assessing dekat dalam lab sebab subjek ini saya tak offer masa waktu COVID ni. Yes,
okay.
itu cabaran dia sekarang ni.
Alright. Sebab kalau sekiranya waktu ni Dr. Yam yang kena. Dr. Yam kalau dia jadi auditor tak lepas ni. dia my CA tu tak kena. Dia tak align. Sebab kita buat P3, kita buat psychomotor, tapi lepas tu adalah gunakan creative presentation. Dia tak kena. Sebab selalunya creative presentation ni we actually looking at their communicative, dia kebanyakannya C lah, kebanyakannya kalau presentation. Ataupun it can be a bit of effective sebab dia explain dia punya knowledge. Boleh juga. Tapi psychomotor tu tak nampak sangat kalau P. Saya dah takut bunyi peti-peti. Okay. So alright. Alhamdulillah. I'm sorry I cannot go through all. Satu sebab saya dah peti guruh ni. Saya takut kita punya line pun putus tiba-tiba. Alhamdulillah, I'm very, very happy, Alhamdulillah, to see that all of you, most of you are actually giving me a lot of good examples. Contohnya ni, Dr. Nur Hidayah Cik So. Saya rasa macam menarik sangat. You know, when I look at this, I feel so, it's so interesting that I want to enter the classes. This is what we want the students to feel. Kita nak rasa budak bestnya kelas ni. Ini aku suka, ini aku nak buat. You have to give that to your students, insyaAllah. And it's our responsibility to give our students the experiences. Okay, the experience to the classroom. Okay, waktu hujan ni, during rainy days, is the best for us to make dua, is Ramadan. So, I'm sorry to cut this short. So, aku qawli hadza astaghfirullah wa lakum. Thank you so much to everyone. And thank you for your attentiveness today, okay? Assalamualaikum. Saya keluar, saya takut.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Waalaikumsalam.